Well, I want to welcome everyone to the 30th episode of our podcast. And we are joined today by Tyler Lessard. And he is a marketing executive and has a passion of creative storytelling. But he's part of the team at Vidyard. And we're going to be talking about the power of video and how is video can transform the current season of our business that we find ourselves in. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Home Service Toolbox, a podcast dedicated to helping home service providers. Every Wednesday, your hosts, Brian and Olivia, will interview leading experts in both the home service field as well as companies who support the small business owner. Our guests will help you nail down what will and what won't work to grow your business. Whether you're on a job site or taking a break, there's no better time to sharpen your small business skills.
Oh, I got to unmute my mic. How are you today, Tyler?
Hey, Brian. I am great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Well, it's funny that we're talking about technology today and video because if I can't press the unmute button, video doesn't work very well.
We're all living in this interesting new world where all of a sudden we're expected to be on video calls and video chats all day long. So we're all learning for the ride. I'm just happy you're not using a cheesy virtual background. So let's call this a win.
Yeah, I've not used one ever. I think that they are, I've seen some cool, like some decent ones, but the standard ones, when you're in the sky and, when you're in the space and all that is not quite, I think, interesting. Have you seen, have you paid attention to the news recently that the newscaster that, was in shorts and he got the video was showing him and he was actually in shorts and they could see him, and I don't know if he did that on purpose or not, but it was quite interesting.
Yeah, we've seen a few of those happening, and and of course it all goes back to the origin of this, which was the epic BBC interview when the child came into the room while the newscaster was on. But you know what? It's interesting, and I find it. I know within our team at least that. Being forced to be remote and doing things like live video chats and video conferences at home in many ways has actually brought us closer, which is interesting, right? We think being farther apart keeps us distanced, but having that really transparent view into people's personal lives, while some people fear it a little bit, those who embrace it, I think, are actually finding a lot of value, and it's brought our teams together. And little things like that of standing up with shorts on, hopefully they're shorts and not actually underwear. Those things are great, and we get to share these experiences. And I, for one, am finding a lot of interesting and unexpected benefits coming out of being forced to be at home during this time. It's interesting.
Well, why don't you just tell us a little bit about Vidyard? We, as a company new, have been using Vidyard for well over probably a year or two in our sales process. But we sit behind the computer all day long. That's what we do, and so it makes sense for us. And but I'm sure that a lot of our listeners are like, "What is Vidyard? And what does it do? And how is it going to help my business?" So give us a little brief intro to who Vidyard is and the platform you guys offer.
Yeah, so Vidyard is a suite of tools, video technologies to help businesses better communicate with their audiences, whether that be through the marketing content they're putting on their website or through one-to-one videos that they may be recording and sending to prospects, to clients, to partners, or to employees. And in that realm, that's where we're seeing a lot of activity right now and an opportunity for people. We were just joking about things like live video calls, which a lot of us are now getting used to, but we can't always hop on a live video call when we want to communicate something to a prospect or a customer. So our tools make it really easy to hit record and record a quick video message using your camera and your computer, or doing a screen capture. And once you're finished recording that message, you can immediately send it to an individual via email, via social, however it is you want to share it. And they can immediately watch it. And you'll actually get notified to be told when and when they watch that content. So it's all about making it simple to record and send a quick video message out to a client, to both more personalize and humanize your communications, but also to show them things they may need to see that you just can't do through email and text-based communications.
Well, that's really cool. And I think you mentioned, if not, you can do this from your phone. You don't have to do this from a computer.
That's right.
And you have an app. And I think what's really neat is, for someone that's in sales, being able to be notified when they view that content. You don't need to be weird about it and be like, oh, I know you viewed the content, or I know you didn't view the content.
Right.
Don't be a creeper about it. But I know it helps me do my job better, because I know if they're engaged. I know whether they've fully watched it, or all the information is going to be helpful. Speak a little bit about when you email it. You have a unique feature with animation. Speak about how that piece helps enhance someone engaging with a video.
Yeah, so let me just quickly walk you through the really simple steps to how an average person would do this. So as a salesperson, as a business owner, one click within your web browser, it's actually a simple browser extension, and you can immediately record your video. And it is, once you hit stop, it can be shared directly with somebody, as mentioned, via email. And when you do that, you're not actually sending the video file, because often they're too large to make it through email. So what we actually do is we drop a thumbnail image of that video into the email. It's got a nice big play button on it. And you can make that thumbnail image either just a static image from the video itself. You can upload a custom image if you really wanted to, or you can make it what's called an animated GIF. So it's a 3-second loop of a section of your video. And by doing that, to your point, it can make it really stand out in your communications. Some people will make sure at the beginning of their video, maybe they're waving for a couple of seconds. So when they drop that into their email, it's a little 3-second looping of you waving, and it's hard to ignore. Of course, when you see a real person, on camera waving to you in your email, it's both novel. We're not used to it, so it draws our attention, but it's also, again, just a lot more personal and interesting, and more likely to get somebody to click through and want to watch your message. So there's lots of ways that people use that feature to make sure that they're getting the attention they deserve, and they're cutting through the noise when trying to communicate with clients or prospects.
I mean, those personal touches, they go such a long way, I feel like, especially considering the current season so many business owners are finding themselves in right now. I mean, that little wave, that little gesture, it can really connect with your customers. So given the fact that we're in such an unprecedented season of business, what have you guys at Vidyard noticed in terms of your client base? What have they been doing to stay proactive? Obviously, in the pre-show, we mentioned a little bit how your all's free resources have really gone through the roof these past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's actually been really interesting over the last few weeks to see how the market has adopted the tools. So as you mentioned, there is a free version for everyone to use. So I'm sure we'll share it later, but you can just go to vidyard.com/free and you can start using it in an unlimited fashion for free. And as a result, we're seeing lots of different use cases, everything from teachers. My own kids are getting videos from their teachers on a weekly or daily basis with quick summaries of their work for the day and assignment instructions, to, of course, inside sales reps who are using it as a way to communicate with customers, perhaps before the transition to work from home and during. But we've also seen this surge in the market that we all live in here, in the service market, where individuals who traditionally have been in the office, in the showroom, out with clients, meeting face to face, are now looking for new ways to communicate and keep that personal touch. And so we're seeing people across lots of these different markets using the tool now as that way to stay connected with customers. And it's everything from their outbound selling efforts. So maybe there were some prospects or clients that were in the sales funnel prior to going into quarantine, and now they're using video messages as a way to update them, maybe on a weekly basis, and to keep their face top of mind, so that they don't get forgotten about. Others that are using it to explain things through the buying process. I'm trying to purchase a vehicle right now, and I'm actually talking to 2 different dealerships. And it's interesting. The one of them, the rep has been sending me since my first, submission form on their website. He's sent me a series of videos introducing himself as the representative, actually walking through the vehicle because I couldn't go there to see it. And then he also did a follow-up earlier this morning where he was explaining the pricing proposal for the vehicle. And the other dealership hasn't done anything like that. They've sent me a series of text-based emails, explaining why they couldn't do a test drive and now they can, and they're booking it, and that's fine. But that first dealership, I know that guy now, right? His name is Will Hurren. Sorry, Will. Not sure if this breaks your privacy policy, but he's Will Hurren at the dealership. I know what he looks like. I feel like he's a friend now, right? And just those simple tactics of sending those videos, speaking openly and keeping your face top of mind goes such a long way. So there's so many ways that people can use these kinds of tools for sending videos. It just really depends on how you do business, the types of clients you work with, and what it is you need to explain during these times when you have to be remote.
Well, I think what's interesting about this is you described 2 people in one industry and how they're doing it completely different. And both of those companies had the opportunity to do that. I mean, but I think that so many business owners or employees are choosing not to embrace technology, and they're trying to do it, in a kind of old school way. Same thing. We just bought a house. We're getting renovations done, and I'm getting quotes. And half the people are like, "We need to see the space to give you a quote," and half the people are giving me a quote, and asking me to take pictures or do video and things like that. And so talk to the audience about what you think is going to happen post the quarantine. And for those that have chosen to embrace things like that, how it's going to impact their business. Because I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's very possible I know who you're going to buy the car from. Based upon
it's his to lose. It's his sale to lose. Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I'm worried for businesses that are choosing not to, and I say the word choosing very specifically because they would say they're just not doing it, but they're making an active choice to not try something new, and I really think it's going to be a major impact.
Yeah, I think for just about every business, there is a new status quo now. And, again, some of you on right now will say, well, not in my market. Our market is, it's special and things. This is how it works in our segment. But I would really challenge you to think about what is the new status quo for your industry from a buyer's perspective. What are their new expectations when interacting with businesses in your market and going through an evaluation and buying process? Because again, speaking as a buyer, like all of us are, in buying a vehicle, my expectation, whether it's the next few weeks or the next few years, is that I can see these vehicles in a video. I can meet my sales rep without ever having to go into the dealership. And frankly, as a buyer, that's a huge relief. And I'm actually feeling this is a very positive change for the market. I know that when I need to get, food for my family, I can order it from just about any local restaurant. I don't have to resort to going to McDonald's. No offense, McDonald's, but now I know that all of my local restaurants have shifted to offering, at-home delivery, or they partnered with Skip the Dishes or DoorDash. These are very common examples of how markets are changing to adapt to this new expectation of buyers. And I think there's an analogy in every single market. You actually had mentioned earlier an example of one of your clients who moved to a virtual and video-based showroom tour. And I think, again, that example is something that going forward, I would love to be able to do that. And whether I'm, in quarantine or not, being able to look and see and browse things and interact with reps at a company without having to physically go into the store, I think is such a great new luxury and opportunity as a buyer that I'm going to look for that in the future. Would you mind sharing maybe your story? You had mentioned to me earlier about that customer of yours who was doing the video-based virtual showrooms to overcome some of these challenges, Brian?
Yeah, they're an outdoor furniture company, and they have 3 showrooms, and they were immediately shut down. And it's interesting. They had a website prior to us partnering together that did e-commerce, but only a very, very, very small percentage of their business came from e-com. And so we chose to actually, when we rebuilt the website, to completely redo and eliminate e-com, because their bread and butter was like the in-face engagement. They could customize the style, the fabric, and do all this amazing stuff that most people didn't even know you could do. I certainly didn't know you could do. So when all this happened, their bread and butter going face to face, completely got eliminated. And fortunately, the website was launched prior to this, about a month before. Yep. And we one of our partners that has helped with us with a couple of other clients offers the Matterport virtual tours, and they came in, they did the virtual tour. We locked it down behind a gate. They had to give their email and phone number. Email and name to be able to get access to it. And it's been accessed thousands and thousands of times. But the virtual tour is only one part of it. Then the sales reps took that, and everything got divided to different sales reps. And then they were able to use Vidyard to create a personalized engagement with the people that are doing the virtual tour, and just say, hey, if you saw something, through the virtual tour that you're interested in, just because our showrooms are shut down now doesn't mean that we can't do business. Let me know how we can help you. And it's been great for them. So
that's great. I love it. I mean, it's such a great example of, a new status quo. And again, it's not to say that we're going to go away from in-store, in retail, face-to-face, hands being shaken types of sales, because absolutely that will return, and absolutely that will continue to be critical. But, for many businesses and consumers, these new ideas, I think, offer, yet another channel, another way, and I think a great way to scale. And something that I think we need to be doing now. But to your point, I think it will continue to be an expected part of that buying process. Let me see it. Let me interact with folks. Let me hear from you. Let me get to know you before I ever set foot in the store. And I think those types of experiences are going to win in a lot of markets in the months and years ahead.
Well, Olivia, you're an extrovert, so you're probably like me. I love this. I'm an introvert, even though I get on do these podcasts. So me going on all these virtual tours, I love that. For you, Olivia, the other half of the crew, in the world are extroverts. How are you embracing this? I mean, what are your thoughts on? I mean, besides the fact that you are dying to get outside of your house right now.
I mean, I'm definitely dying to get outside, but I'm also in the process of a move. Tyler, Brian touched on his move, but I'm also in the process of a move. So for me, it's been particularly stressful because I like to go and meet everybody and go back to the apartment, take measurements. Right. I'm trying to buy furniture, and so many big e-com places don't have enough diversity in terms of what can I look at? What can I view? I can't go in and touch it and see it. So I'm very stressed out beyond belief. And it's T-minus 10 days, 10 days on the dot pretty much. So I'm a little frazzled, but I think being able to embrace things, and my apartment complex, actually, the manager, she's been able to give me walkthroughs of my now vacant apartment so I can see it and at least, make sure it's still there and corona free and all that good stuff. It's definitely given me a new level of peace of mind that I wouldn't have had otherwise, but I'm just chomping at the bit to get out of the apartment and go somewhere that's not to my mailbox. And hopefully, downtown will open up here soon so I can actually start enjoying things besides takeout. So we'll see what happens, but I'm definitely ready for this season to be over.
But imagine how much more difficult it would be if we didn't have, video conferencing and sending video messages, right? It's interesting that we're in a time now where we can do this, admittedly very, it's challenging and stressful for a lot of people, but the fact that we can do this and we can still do business and we can, connect with clients in a personal way still, is I think really remarkable. And I think, again, it's that, great idea of let's think about how to embrace this, and let's focus on those positives of how we can evolve and change our businesses for the long term to, both just offer a great experience to buyers, but we could also find efficiencies for our own companies as well, and say maybe we can do more. Maybe we can do more with less if we just think about how to use tools like video calls, like one-to-one video messages, and other things like adding e-commerce options and so on. So a great time to think a little bit outside the box and get creative.
I know Olivia has a question queued up, but just to tie into what you were just saying, we were talking to another vendor. I don't know if it was House Call Pro or Home Advisor. I don't know who it was, but they were just talking about one of their customers. They were a service provider, and they used to take 4 or 5 hours on average to do one quote.
Right.
And to go to the home, go there, meet the person, blah blah, and insert video. I don't know what tool they were using, whether it was just simply FaceTime or another tool like Vidyard, but insert video into that process, and they were able to bring that process down to like an hour. And he point blank said he would never ever go back to the old way, because obviously he's probably got to get to the house eventually. He's got to get to the work eventually. But if you can get to a process, imagine how much time you can save for your business and make it efficient for your customers. Because when I'm getting quotes, there are people that are getting quotes like that, and there's people that are getting quotes. I asked for 2 weeks ago for a quote, and I still haven't gotten it. And it's because they're wanting to do things in the old way. And I think you're right. The people that embrace this, the new normal is going to be a much more efficient process.
Yeah. And it's, we're seeing this shift, video is one part of it, more online visual. And then, to the points you guys have made, it's a broader digital shift that a lot of us, I think, need to get behind and need to think about how to adapt with it. And I actually I'm going to go back to the example you shared, because I think that was a really smart approach for the virtual showroom, that idea of actually using it as a lead capture opportunity, right? So those that want to be able to go in and see everything, asking them for their email address and name, offers a great opportunity for you to suddenly now expand your network of potential buyers. But if you can do that, and then, much as your client is doing, follow up with those people with a video from one of your reps introducing themselves and clearly explaining how they can help you, in your buying journey with whatever it is that they're looking for. That to me is really, really powerful and can absolutely scale and find new ways to generate revenue, because a lot of those may be people who would have never set foot in the store and would have never met, that sales rep, or those of you watching, they would have never met you, right? And probably a huge part of your opportunity at business is when people meet you and see you face to face, right? And I go back to the car example. I'm like, I know that guy who's trying to sell me the car over here. The other one over here, all I know is his name is John, and it's very, very different. So it's really neat to think about that whole experience and say, people discover me online, right? What is my content strategy to get people to find me online? What's my search strategy? What's my paid ad strategy to get people to find me online? And once they do, what can I do more than just bring them to my website? Can I offer them some kind of digital engagement to help them understand what they can do with me? Can I offer the ability to hop on a video call, or can I have one of my reps introduce themselves visually with a video? We can redefine that entire sort of online buying journey, again, without disrupting the in-person store. But I think this is a great new way to think about doing business.
Well, one question I had, since obviously states are starting to open back up gradually, hopefully, knock on wood, everything goes according to plan. How do you think business owners, since we've had to adapt to the new normal, are going to be able to segue and transition into this new in-between of being open but not really be open? And how do you think we can continue to use video as a viable platform to help give customers peace of mind? Because obviously everyone's still very self-aware and on edge. And even though we want to get back to that place we used to be 3 or 4 months ago, it's not going to quite be the same for at least another 3 or 4 months, if not longer.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been thinking about is how during that transition period to, really leverage your existing or previous client base or the network that you have. Because it's going to be difficult to get net new people in the door who may not be, coming by via foot traffic or otherwise. But hopefully you've got, a list and a database of previous or existing clients that have done business with you in the past. And I think as you open back up, that's where you should start and be proactive in reaching out. But of course, go beyond the templated, hey, we're back open, unprecedented new norm, blah, 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 right? Get past the buzzwords of it and, try to connect with these people as real humans. And I think, again, people that have traditionally done business with you, have been in your stores and have interacted with you, send them all a video. Maybe it's from the owner of your company or whoever it happens to be. But as you open back up, right, send them all an email with a video with your face front and center and, make that message very genuine, right? Be like, we're, so excited to be opening up again. We would love to see you and to show you kind of where things are at. We would love the opportunity to win your business again. And, if you're interested in hopping on a video call instead of coming into the store, we have that option as well. So I think there's ways to do this and really leverage that base you have. And, people want to help, right? So those previous clients, many of them will understand that, you've been gone through very difficult times and they're looking to support local businesses as best they can. So I think that simple idea of be proactive in outreach to them, put yourself on camera and send a video message to make sure they see your face because they'll recognize you, right? And you'll stand down from the sea of other emails they're getting. And then give them that option to say, if you're able to come into the store, great. Otherwise, we're happy to schedule a video call with one of our reps, a traditional phone call, imagine that. Or we can, record a video and walk you through, a product or a service that you might be interested in. So be proactive in that, give them those options and try to leverage that existing client base that you have to sort of get you that upswing as you return to normal.
So for those that are kind of scared of the video thing, because what's interesting is if we're doing this live, one of the reasons why we're doing this live is because when it's being recorded, I personally worry about what I'm going to say, and I get all tongue-tied and I make a mistake and I have to redo it. There's even a joke about me trying to film a video from 2 years ago, and I said, "Hi, my name's Brian," 85 times.
Yeah.
So the reality is video is a very different platform. Yeah. And so what are some basic things that you could just encourage people to maybe get over the hump of being scared to get behind a camera and just go for it?
First of all, I love that sort of analogy to going live versus pre-recording because, to your point, you're almost forcing yourself to be more natural, more conversational in nature. And I think that's really part of the key to using video effectively as a business owner or as a sales rep. So when you use a tool like Vidyard, you hit that little record button. First of all, of course, go into it with a good sense for what you want to say, right? You never want to hit record and then spend the first 10 seconds going, oh yeah, okay. Right. So that's a no-brainer, is at least make sure you know what your message is going to be. But always start that video off, be natural, pretend you're actually talking to one of your customers, one of your friends, one of your relatives, right? Try to disassociate this camera and whatnot and just be like, you know what? I'm talking to this person. It's one person on the other side of this. Keep it conversational. Start your message off with the, "Hey, Brian, it's Tyler here from Vidyard. Really hope things are well on your side," right? Just have some kind of consistent introduction that gets you flowing naturally. And, but again, don't try to treat it as something you need to get perfect or pre-produce. Keep it conversational. And then there's other little things that you can do to build your confidence that the video quality is going to be good enough, right? Don't worry about being perfect. But you want to be good enough that you feel confident in doing it and you're not hesitating to send them because you feel like, oh, this looks too amateur. So some little things that you can do. First of all, lighting helps a lot. So here in my room that I have a small lamp in front of me here to give a little bit of front light to my face, which helps. make sure, try to keep your camera kind of face or eye level. Don't do the up the nostril shot. Nobody wants to see that. So if you're using your phone, make sure you're holding it up. If you are using your phone, it can go a long way to have it sort of sitting on something so it's stable, so it's not getting shaky. Little things like that just help. And also be mindful of your audio. That can go a long way, right? They'll watch a video if the audio is clear, even if the video is jittery, but the vice versa isn't true, right? If you can't hear the message, people will tune out. So try to make sure you've got good, clear audio. I use AirPods. Hopefully I sound pretty good, but try to use maybe a wired headset or something like that to mitigate background noise and to be clear. But I think those are the simple things, right? Keep it simple, keep it conversational, just pretend you're talking to a friend or the customer themselves, and don't overthink it.
I'm glad you mentioned audio, because that's what we've been telling our customers, that bad video, pixelated video is one thing, but when you have bad audio, it's awful. And, we've been encouraging people just to get their phones, and you can buy, I don't know for Android, but at least for an iPhone, we bought a lightning lapel mic, and so it's wired, but you put that lapel mic on that person and the audio just goes from bad to good, and it just makes a world of difference for that person. And that example of that customer that I was talking about, he had been doing some videos before, and I brought my lapel mic in, and he was just blown away. And that's like a $20 purchase from Amazon. And so just small things, just like as you said, Tyler, that you can do to really improve your process.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I love that. And you can get, again, inexpensive microphones, less than $50 or $100. You can get inexpensive, HD quality webcams that will, give you a nice, clear picture if you're doing webcam based, again, for under $100 or $150. So there are things like that can start to level up your video game. But again, they're not critical or necessary to get going. And I think for those conversational videos, perfect is the enemy of good and complete. And I say just have at it, give it a shot, and see what kind of response you get.
That's great. I'm all about good camera angles because I'm always very self-conscious of my nose. So I feel like that's the thing that takes precedence whenever I jump on a podcast or do anything. So I appreciate those tips, and I will take them to heart because you never know sometimes.
I remember it as light and height. So good light and good height for your camera. So keep that in mind. Light and height.
Light and height. I like it. To pivot a little bit, when you submitted your bio to us, I noticed that you began your career in software development, and now obviously you're in marketing at Vidyard. So can you tell us a little bit why you decided to pivot fields so dramatically?
Yeah, that's it's a bit of a long story, but to your point, I was a graduate of engineering program here at the University of Waterloo. I'm based just outside of Toronto in Canada, in case y'all hadn't picked up on my Canadian accent yet.
I love you just put y'all there.
Yes, me too.
That was for you
We're in
guys.
North Carolina, if you didn't know.
Yeah. No, that was for you, eh? Okay. So I started off as an engineer. I was a software developer actually at BlackBerry. For those who remember the BlackBerries, that's our hometown here in Waterloo. So I worked at BlackBerry for about 10 years.
Yeah, do you even know what a BlackBerry is?
I know what a BlackBerry is. That's rude. I'm not that young.
I mean, you're a decade younger. I mean,
okay, people on the show probably already think, oh, this girl's like 16. No need to add insult to injury over here, okay? It's about to be my birthday. Let's just not, all right?
Okay, all right. So back to you, Tyler.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So I spent 10 years at BlackBerry from 2001 till 2011 and was a software engineer. And then I was actually not a very good software developer, but I was much better with people. And so I took on the role of actually supporting third-party developers that were writing apps for BlackBerries. Those were like mobile apps before there was such a thing, before the App Store. Again, imagine that, Olivia. So anyways, what I found over the time, I ended up managing our external developer community. I built out evangelist programs and developer programs, and just really enjoyed that that part of the business of working externally with people, understanding their problems, and also, communicating to them and translating technology to business value. And that's where I ended up spending a lot of my time over my years, which sort of gave a natural transition over into more marketing centric roles. And today I'm VP marketing here at Vidyard, and obviously love what I do. It's a really interesting intersection of technology and kind of art and science, the way I think about it, the art of video and how we use it to connect with people, to be more personal, to be more human and deliver our stories. But the technology behind the scenes of how we can empower it to make it easy for people, to allow them to track data behind it and know who's watching, those sorts of things. It's really super interesting. So love being a marketer, and I think this is my true calling.
Well, that's great. So also in your, go Olivia.
I was going to say that's a great story. And also to go back to my youngness, or however I'm being insulted by Brian right now, my parents used to have Nextel walkie-talkie phones, and that's how they would communicate with one another. And we had dial-up internet until I was 15. So I'm not that behind on the times of what was life like before the iPhone. Closing out that segment, but just putting it in there.
Love it.
Well, so speaking about your career, you've done a lot of different interesting things, but you mentioned just in answering some of our questions, prior to our show, what are 2 or 3 things that you've learned, over the course of your career that really have helped you, utilize video in a more powerful way?
Yeah, good question. I think the first is something that, all successful business owners, I think, appreciate. And it's just the importance and power of relationships. Over my career, I think, every opportunity that I've had to elevate, to move up, to expand what I do has been built on strong relationships with the people around me, whether it be my peers in my organization, customers and partners that I work with. In fact, when I left BlackBerry, I went to one of the partners that were part of our community because they enjoyed working with me so much that they said, "Why don't you come on over here and help us?" And I think we all understand that, the importance of relationships, whether it's for our own careers in business or for how we work with customers. And I think, again, today in increasingly virtual and digital times, video is that next best thing to being there in person when it comes to managing and building relationships, whether it's with coworkers who can't be in the same office, customers and clients, partners, it doesn't matter. So I think that's, a big piece of it. And I try to use video in my own day-to-day life as a part of that, of making sure that, I'm keeping those relationships going with people, that I'm supporting them, but also, putting my personality out there, right? Having fun, connecting in ways that are more human, which is difficult to do when you're not in the same place. So I think that's number one, is the importance of relationships. I think the second is the importance and power of storytelling. And it's something that I mentioned was kind of the segue of me going from being a developer and working with developers to becoming a marketer, was this, I sort of unearthed this love of storytelling and helping people think about solutions in the context of the problems they're facing, and to contextualize my messages in that sort of traditional storytelling narrative. And as a marketer, as a seller, I think today, more than ever, we need to be able to tell stories. We need to be able to position our products and services in a story arc type fashion, by making sure we, help people feel a bit of pain first, help guide them on that path to a solution and show them why and how we're the hero. And I just, I think that's such a powerful idea and framework. And there's lots of ways to storytell, to bring your stories to life. But obviously video is a particularly powerful way to do that, whether it's something you're recording and sending yourself, getting your customers and clients on camera telling their stories, right? Those sorts of things are super powerful. And something else you can be doing today as a business is, ask your clients, hit that record button, send in little video testimonials, right? Whether it's now or afterwards, those sorts of things go a long way. So I'm going to go with those 2, power of relationships and the power of storytelling. And, I'm thankful to be in a role where video is part of what I do to help those things come to life.
Well, that's great. So we've mentioned Vidyard so much. I want to bring and show you have a dedicated page for trades and services. So I want to bring that up and
thank you
guys to talk. So you mentioned the free you can sign up for free. Obviously, there's some paid things. So what are just some things that, if someone comes to this website, that they can learn about, Vidyard and, how to get started?
Yeah, so you can just go right to vidyard.com and you can see the nice big sign up free button there. We also have a page, I think it's vidyard.com/trades-and-services, I believe, which just sort of positions the value of the solution in the context of folks in trades and service. And I think the real important thing here is being mindful of how you might use this tool. So again, I think if you come in here, you can sign up for free, you'll get lit up with an account, you'll be able to start uploading videos you have or start recording one-to-one videos and sharing them. And you'll start getting those notifications flowing through of who's watching what. And then I think the real value is just in starting to make that a consistent part of how you communicate with your customers. What you're seeing here is Brian's own library, where he can go in and see the various videos he's already recorded. Really simple to record a new video. You just hit new or hit the button in your browser, and you can choose to record your camera or to do a screen capture with your face in the corner as well. So again, it's just the tool itself is surprisingly simple. Sign up. It'll prompt you through how to get going, how to record your first video and send it. It also plugs right into Gmail as well as Outlook. So if you use one of those tools for your email, you can also do it right from there. Right inside of Gmail, there's a little Vidyard button that gets added, and you can just click that to either record a video right in your email or to drop the thumbnail into your email message. So again, lots of simple ways to use it. There are some nice bells and whistles around it. The free version, again, is unlimited to use. Have at it, enjoy it, make the most of it. There are, of course, paid versions. We aren't entirely a charitable organization. So our paid versions, we have a pro product, which is $19 a month. And that allows you to custom brand the videos that play back and the pages they play on. So in that case, when somebody watches your video, it'll be your company branding on the page. You can add your own buttons or calls to action to drive a next step from them. So it allows you to fully brand that video experience, as well as gives you some other nice additional features around how many videos you can embed on your website if you also want to use the tool to put videos out on your website, and so on. So again, you'll find all that information in the product itself, but my suggestion is check it out, and if it doesn't work for you, let me know and maybe I can help. But if it does, then hopefully it adds value to the business going forward, and it's something your team can use on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, I mean, so this is just an example of something that we did for our clients. So a lot of our clients are local, but then some of them are remote. But obviously during the coronavirus, we weren't able to meet with everyone, and so we just go into Google Slides and make a quick presentation, and because it has the face and video, I can walk through something visual and still be engaging with that. And we are partners with HubSpot, and so we know that Vidyard also integrates with HubSpot, and so that's a great opportunity to be able to engage with that. So so I'm really excited just about how people can begin to use that resource. Tyler, thank you for being on, and thank you for sharing your story and how people can really take advantage of the power of video in their business. And so I hope that our listeners can get over the hump of being afraid and jump in and try something new.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much for having me. It's really, really interesting topic right now, and I'm so happy to hear some of your own success stories and with you and your clients. So, excited to help more and more businesses. So, as mentioned, just feel free to go and try Vidyard out yourself. Connect with me, Tyler Lessard, LinkedIn, Facebook. Find me wherever I am. And honestly, if you have any questions about it, just ping me online, and I'm happy to help or to find a resource that can help you out.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tyler. We really appreciate it. And on next week's episode, we're going to be interviewing Katie Thompson, who is the community manager at Hey Orca, which is a social media company. And we're going to talk a little bit about how business owners can remain active on social media during these times of uncertainty and segue into reopening.
Well, great. Appreciate everyone being a listener. And so if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Facebook, please give a like or a thumbs up or even a review. That helps, us get our message from our guests, out there even further. We believe that we're better together. And so let's share this with others. So again, thank you for Tyler for joining us. I'm a little sad that we didn't have any kids. My kids are your kids, they left you alone for 45 minutes plus. That's impressive. So
yeah, there must be something wrong. I better get going.
Yeah. Well, we'll let you go. Hopefully the house is not burning down behind you. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, Tyler.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.